part 2 of your writing and question types in it. So that means your part 2 is always an essay, and what kind of questions you get in that essay. We are still in the writing module. Earlier we have discussed the structure and how to write the essays and stuff, but today we're going to see the question types. Okay, there are 5 different question types which are mentioned here as number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 and number 5. You can keep looking up for the question types themselves, and when you have even some explanation, it will be mentioned here below. So the first is called agree or disagree, the one which we have described in detail in your introduction, your body paragraph and conclusion. Alright, what happens in this question type? We have 2 more types, subtypes in question. Okay, the first one is when we have an extent. What is this extent? This actually depends on the question, the style of questioning. The first one is governments should spend money on railways rather than roads. To what extent do you agree or disagree? You see, to what extent? It doesn't mean that you have to write the extent you are disagreeing or agreeing. You just say agree or disagree. But it's a type or it's a style to say what extent do you agree or disagree. Okay, this is the first style. The second one is directly agree or disagree. You say, some people feel that entertainers, example film stars, pop musicians or sports stars are paid too much money. Do you agree or disagree with the above statement? You got my point. So overall, what you get is here to agree or disagree. Earlier we got extent or extent of the agreement. Remember, there's no different answer for both of the question. There's single answer. So what the structure would be for this question type? Introduction. That means in the introduction you mention if you agree or disagree, which we have discussed earlier. Then we have body paragraphs, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, as many reasons you have for the agreement or disagreement, and finally a conclusion. One thing you should always remember when you're writing agree and disagree question type, if you choose to write agree, write 80% about agreement, but you should go towards disagreement and write 20% about disagreement as well. So for an example, if we look at the previous question, which is some people feel that the entertainers are paid too much. Do you agree? I'll say I agree. When I say I agree in the introduction, I'll mention 2 body paragraphs in agreement, and I'll mention a 3rd body paragraph in disagreement. That, see, in some cases it's true, they're working hard, they should be paid more, right? So if I choose disagree, I would say 2 body paragraphs for disagreement and write a short one for agreement. Why are we doing this? This is like we are the lawyers and the conclusion is the judge. So lawyers should be showing both sides. So that is the disagreement or the agreement side. But the one which you want to make win or make clear should be more. So for example, I want to show my agreement part more. Hence, I'll write 80% agreement. What if I want to make the disagreement part more? I'll write 80% of disagreement. Hence, in the conclusion, we can judge that yes, the agreement is more, and hence it's true. These people really are paid more for no reasons. Got my point? Always the other side should be described a little bit, at least 20% or 10%. Cool? Good. Second question type is advantages and disadvantages. In this question type, we have also 2 types again, subtypes, right? The subtypes are, there's a direct or let's say negative development. If we have direct or positive or negative development, let's look at it here. Countries are becoming more and more similar because people are able to buy same products anywhere in the world. Do you think this is positive or negative development? Or similarly, you can say, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this development? So they're asking you same thing. Please provide these 2 points. They are not comparing them. In fact, they're asking you to write these 2 points. Now, how to write in this kind of question when we have this subtype? Of course, introduction, we will provide how about this point about how people can buy everything anywhere. Now in body 1 you will mention advantages, in body 2 you will mention disadvantages, and when we have a conclusion. If you have more disadvantages, you can mention in body 3 as well, or if you have more advantages, you can mention here as well, extra. But what I mean is you don't have to create a new paragraph for your own opinion. Got it? You have paragraphs for advantages and disadvantages. Clear? But we have second subtype in advantages and disadvantages where they use the word outweigh. The meaning of outweigh is, do you think this is better than that? Okay, here. Many museums charge for admission while others are free. Do you think the advantages of charging people for admission to museums outweigh the disadvantages? Here, they have asked a question clearly. Do you think the advantages of this are more than the disadvantages? Now, your answer should be very clear because they have asked you a question. Not to mention, they haven't told you please talk about advantage and disadvantage or something, but they have asked you a question. Do you think this is better? If you say yes, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, that means you have to write more on advantages. Hence the structure would be an introduction about the topic itself. Then we have body paragraph 1 where you are mentioning more towards its advantages. Body paragraph 2 more again towards advantage, because see, we have agreed on that advantages are more. We are just giving an example. And body paragraph 3 where we are mentioning just a little bit of disadvantages. Because see, outweighing means these are more, this is less. And in conclusion, you can conclude it that you can see that many advantages, but just one disadvantage. Clear? So this is how you answer the question for outweigh question. But remember, read the question properly where the outweigh word has been used. In here, it is used between advantages and disadvantages. Hence, the question is about advantages, not disadvantages. What if I change the wordings? Do you think the disadvantages of charging people for admission to the museums outweigh the advantages? In that case, if you want to say yes, advantages are great, then you have to say no. Disadvantages are less than the advantages, or disadvantages don't outweigh the advantages. That means advantages are more. So read the question very carefully, understand the structure, see where the outweigh word is used. Based on that, create your answer or create a structure. All right. The next one is discuss type. In this, they're asking you with a statement in which we might have two views. For example, some people say that the only reason for learning a foreign language is in order to travel to or work in foreign country. Others say that these are not the only reason why someone should learn a foreign language. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Now, what is the meaning of both these views? First of all, we have two views here. The first one is here, second one here. Second one is that these are not the only reasons someone should learn a foreign language. That means we have other reasons to learn a foreign language. Clear? So you have to discuss both views and discuss them. And provide your opinion, not just discuss. So your structure would be introduction. Then you write one body paragraph, that is body paragraph 1, discussing the first view, right? And then you mention the body paragraph 2, discussing the second view. And then body paragraph 3 with your opinion. And then finally you are at a conclusion. It's simple. Introduction, you should mention about both, a little bit of it. We have discussed how to write introduction and conclusion as well, but body paragraph will change here a little bit. That is first view, second view, and opinion. And finally you conclude based on your body paragraph and introduction. Clear? This is called discuss type. Now the fourth one is, actually it's very easy. It's called problem solution. What happens in problem solution is, again, we have two subtypes. What are these two subtypes? Number one, when we ask for only solution, they don't ask you for causes or the problems. See here, in many countries, schools have severe problems with students' behavior. What solutions can you provide or suggest? You see here, there's nothing like what is the reason for this kind of problem or what are the other problems connected to it. They just want you to write solutions. In this case, I suggest you write this way. In the introduction itself, please talk about the problems or the reasons or the causes of this problem. That is in short. In body paragraphs, you write first solution, second solution, as many solutions you have, let's say B till N, and finally a conclusion that how we have a problem, how can we solve it. Okay, if you are struggling with introduction and conclusion, remember we have a separate chapter or video on this. Please go through it. We are just discussing the question type themselves. So problem and solution are mentioned like this if we have the first type where only solution is required. That we write first solution, second solution, as many solutions we have in a form of paragraphs. Right? So second type is when we have to mention the problems or the causes of the problems and the solution as well. So in this case, let's look at an example. In some countries, the average weight of people is increasing and their levels of health and fitness are decreasing. What do you think are the causes of these problems and what measures could be taken to solve them? You see that what are the causes of these problems is the first thing that are the reasons, and finally measures means solution that can be taken to solve them. In this case, your structure will change a bit. You start with introduction. Then in the body paragraph 1, you mention the problems or the causes of the problems. In body paragraph 2, you mention solutions for those problems. Let's say I have mentioned cause 1, the reason 1 for this problem, reason 2, and hence I provide the solution for these causes. So there is a solution 1 and solution 2. As many solutions you want actually, depending on the problem you mentioned, and finally a conclusion. I'm not limiting you with 3 body paragraphs. I am just telling you the one thing you mentioned in your body 1, how many causes you have, solution should be based on that. Clear? Good. And the last one, but not the least, is the direct questions. Very simple, and hence the structure will be simple as well. Here you will be given a statement like this. Lack of fresh water is becoming a global issue of increasing importance. What problems does this shortage cause? And second, what measures could be taken to overcome these problems? Now, this looks like problem solution. Sorry, but remember, they can change this. They could say something like, how true is this statement? And what can be the solution? What I mean is, they would be asking you direct 2 questions and you have to answer those questions. They are sometimes a little bit away from that or a little bit more connected, but they are not problem solution types of essay. They are direct question. Yes? So here we end this chapter because see, in this case, you have to just write the introduction. And in the body 1, you mention the first question. In body 2, you mention the second question. And in conclusion, you just write conclusion. So it's a simple structure. You can create one single body paragraph for one thing, second body paragraph solving the other thing, and conclusion. So it's pretty simple.